Hey, what's going on, gamers? It's Ryan 6 days a week, and I hope you had an awesome holiday season and a start to your new year. In this video today, we're going to be going over some data mine finds with renderings that relate to the upcoming ice map update. For those looking for a spoiler-free roadmap styled video, I will have that out either tomorrow or this weekend, and it will cover the most recent developer Discord statements, as well as review the Darkest Hours interview with the Iron Mace CEO Terrence and lead developer SDF, which you can actually watch the full thing right now on Soma's YouTube channel, linked below. Once again, in this video, we're going to be focusing on data mined finds, so take this as your spoiler alert before we dive in. Alright, let's get right into it. Along with the early stages of alchemy, the most recent update brought us the addition of the Warhammer melee weapon, something that first appeared in the game files last September. This weapon was uncovered alongside a few other pieces of gear that we've talked about in my previous videos. But to this list now, I want to add the club, which I expect will be part of the cleric's loadout, as it appears specifically in the character's pose files. Just based on its role in other games, I do expect this will be a higher mobility and attack speed weapon compared to the flanged mace and Morningstar, but with some sort of drawback, so potentially less armor penetration and impact power. I also imagine this weapon would be suitable for the upcoming Druid, since it thematically fits in, and potentially even the Barbarian. Next, we have the Crusader helmets, which are in the style of the European 12th century Great Helm. Of course, being plate type and historically holy, I do imagine this is an armor piece that will be worn by Cleric, Fighter, eventually the Paladin, and possibly even the Warlock. I'm including the Warlock here for two main reasons. First, the devs stated in their interview that they want to add more unique playstyles to every class, and specifically brought up a plate-wearing Warlock. They also said some other really cool things about the Warlock, but again, we will dive into that in the next video. The second reason is that the Crusader helm on the left is actually labeled as Helm Crusader Dark, so something probably worn by a Dark Crusader, which I can only imagine the Warlock filling that role. Up next, we have another collection of headgear, the Sallet helmets, which of course are based on the historical European Sallet. There are three notable variants that I found and are all fairly similar in style, so I imagine that not all of these will make it into the game. However, there's indeed a chance that they do, since there's so many attributes now and sub-attributes to build gear for. So I can easily see one of these being an interaction speed helmet for mining, or maybe even something even more niche, like an increase to your blocking power. I'm not quite sure yet. The cool thing about these helmets is that one of the variants is actually featured in an original Dark and Darker concept art piece by the name of Takeaway. Iron Mace has an awesome way of hiding hints for us, if you know where to look. Another piece that I would actually like to look at in this video is the icon artwork from Playtest 4 of the Cleric. If you look closely, you can see the edges of the adventurer's backpack and sleeping roll that we uncovered in our other data mining video some time ago. Additionally, if you look at what this cleric is wearing, you'll notice that it's not quite a helmet, but rather a hood. And well, what do you know? We can actually find the chainmail hood model in the game files. I do think this will be an item used by many classes, even though it appears specifically on the cleric in some of the art pieces. Also, in the same file we can find a copper variant, which I imagine will need to be mined and crafted, like our other copper type gear in game. While we're on the discussion of crafted gear, it looks like there may be a new ore making an appearance soon. Malachite, which at the moment just shows up as an ore material, but here's a mock-up of what a Malachite fine cuirass would look like. I actually want to credit this one to Grass for the discovery and Lastway for the editing the mock-up. But what could Malachite actually be used for? What are its benefits? Well, for this next statement, please take this as complete speculation. But I imagine it may be more of a PvE specific armor type, similar to that of our silver weapons for undead slaying. I could see Malachite being related to Goblin Bane or Goblin Poison resistance somehow, solely because it is green. No other real good reason at the moment. It's a complete guess. Honestly, your guess is as good as mine here, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. Speaking of resistances, we may actually be seeing magic resistances by type soon enough. In the status data table, we can see specific magic type resistances like Divine, Air, and Dark. Going through this entire file structure, we can expand this to Earth, Evil, Fire, Light, Lightning, Spirit, and Water. Now, originally, I thought it would be related to player armor, but having all these types in-game would create a massive amount of gear bloat when looting, so I think this will be more related to enemy mobs and how they thematically resist certain magic types and are vulnerable to others. To support this, I actually want to look back on another piece of Iron Mace artwork, known as Enter the Dungeon 3. If you take a look at the Ranger's arrow in this picture, you actually notice it is an enchanted arrow. Again, Iron Mace did mention this in the past, and they also stated that they want to add as many adventures as possible. So with different maps comes different enemy types, comes possibly different resistances that you'll need to prepare for. I know at this point in the video you're curious about the ice map, but before we get there, I just want to go over two more things. First, this purple torch that was put into the game quite some time ago, but I didn't really know what to think of it. It looks like now it may be a Twitch drop for an upcoming Dark and Darker event, or possibly an adventure point reward for a certain purple rank. Second, I want to bring up the magic lock spell again, as it now appears in the game files with complete effect. I do think this will be implemented in the game shortly. Originally, I thought it would show up with explosion, but of course this is a map utility spell that interacts in some way with doors, so there's likely more complexity than I think. As for what I think it does, well, it probably closely resembles Arcane Lock of Dungeons and Dragons, so a way to magically lock and close doors for a certain period of time. Alright, now finally, let's talk about the new ice map, or should I say, maps. If you tuned into the Darkest Hour on Tuesday, you would know that the upcoming map is actually just a part of a collection of maps, known as the Ice Mountain. The Ice Mountain will be a 3-step adventure that begins at the Ice Village, which sends you deep into the Ice Caves, where you'll finally navigate to the Ice Abyss. To start, we will first only be getting the Ice Caves, which the devs did share with us a teaser in the Discord some time ago. Using the torch, hanging debris, and the various wooden props that appear in this photo, we can actually find the exact asset collection that the map will be built off of. I will reel through some of the preview images here, but do note that the actual Ice Caves will only utilize these environments and not replicate them. So, please expect some changes to both the layout and style. In that same interview, they brought up a few ice-themed monsters, namely the Frost Giant, which we can find in the game files right now. It has a number of physical moves, and does seem to be holding a weapon of some sort, though it is not included in my render. If you're curious about the size, it is roughly twice the height of a player. Lastly, I do want to bring up this zombie texture, which is just known as Zombie White, which from now I will codename as White Walker. By name, it doesn't really mean much, but if we render out the model data, we actually get what appears to be an ice-themed zombie variant. I speculate this namely due to its pale complexion and frostbitten fingers. I would imagine too that instead of a damaging gas cloud, it would have some sort of a slowing fog with a freeze over time effect. Again, just a complete guess on this one. We won't know what it does until we see it in game. Now, before I end this video, I do have to ask again not to share this on the Dark and Darker Discord. Everywhere else is fine, but Iron Mace did ask me specifically not to post data mining stuff in there. They actually had to block the use of my name completely since people were doing it, I think. But hey, feel free to still share any of my guide videos. Those do not have spoilers in them. Oh, and one last thing. I do want to thank you all for joining me over this last year on my dark and darker journey. It honestly has been an awesome time seeing your support through the YouTube comments and chatting with you all on Twitch and Discord. We are now almost at 10,000 subs and 1 million views. I'm not sure which is going to come first, but they're both a milestone that just seemed about impossible when I first made this channel. I'm really looking forward to this next year and all the adventures that it holds. Alright gamers, this has been Ryan 6 Days a Week. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.